Hayley Williams and Brian O'Connor is joining us, and congratulations, you made the female founder list.
Thank you.
Which we just
Thank
launched
you so
just a couple days ago, and I think that it's a beautiful conversation to dive into on the momentum of that. You are a Grammy Award-winning artist. People in this room love your music, clearly. But I think there's the other aspect of Good Die Young, which is a company that has been kind of this labor of love for quite some time that a lot of people don't know about. And I'd love for you to kind of talk about the genesis behind it, and, of course, your collaboration with Brian.
I mean, I loved dyeing my hair as a teenager. It was like the only rebellious thing that I got away with. My mom wouldn't let me get piercings or tattoos very young, so I started with my hair, and I kind of ran the gamut of box dyes until I got bored. And I feel like going to Japan with my band for the first time was kind of like the real eye-opener for me in terms of like how far you could really push how you present yourself, without worrying about perception. And I came home from that and was like, I can't do what I want to do with my hair myself. So I'm making a little bit of money from tour now. And I walked into a salon called The Pink Mullet in Nashville. And I met Brian day one. Brian was apprenticing. So like we were both at the very outset of our career when we met and started working together. And we got to grow, together and all of it.
So you are actually behind a lot of her iconic pink, turquoise looks.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, so from before Misery Business, Emergency.
Yeah.
She had yellow tips. I was technically the assistant, but saw that from start to finish. And then when she came back from Japan, the owner had gone on maternity leave. So she was like, I'm familiar with B. I know him. So she was like, I want to look like basically an anime cartoon character of myself. So that's how Misery Business, like Riot era hair, started. And from there, I've done every cut, color, and style from there to present day.
So when did you guys, it launched Good Die Young launched in 2006.
Yeah.
You guys
2016.
2016.
Yeah, we're
Sorry,
10
you
years
met
old.
in 2006.
Yeah, we met in 2006.
Apologies. But when did you decide this is something that we want to spin off as a product? And I understand that there were like some growing pains in the beginning. So talk to us about that.
Boy, were there ever growing pains. So the idea started to take root during my band's fourth album, self-titled album.
Yeah.
And we had done, is that right? Okay, yes. I'm gonna verify stuff by you.
You can tell us.
Yeah, you can tell it. And you can correct me, just take the mic out of my hand. Brian and I we were here actually in Austin filming the Still Into You video, which is where I have like split dye hair and baby bangs. And it was like a really, that was as big of a moment for us as Misery Business. And we just started talking more about what we were seeing at shows and just culturally in the scene that we were a part of, like how hair and makeup and expression through fashion was kind of becoming more accepted, especially I think for young girls like me. I was not quite a teenager anymore then, but the scene was not very kind to that form of expression. It was very masculine. And so I think that for us, being able to express freely, I mean, it's a really important aspect of our life, but in terms of our work, it was like, hey, we're having so much fun doing this. There's great conversation around the culture of hair, like what hair means to people, why they've chosen to do this or that with it. Brian was like seeing so many people recreate the looks that he was doing on me. And I guess we just got addicted to it. And that was like, I was like, hey, I have this name for it. That was like 2014. So that would have been the year after the Austin trip where we started talking about it, and took a couple of years to get going.
Yeah, I remember when she first brought it up to me, she literally had a sketch of a tube of color and the name on it in her journal, and she was like, okay, so let me just run this by you. Here's what I'm thinking. And I was like, absolutely, say less, let's do this. And I think to what Hayley was saying, at the time, a big part of it was, I feel like anyone can do hair if they learn. If you pick up a book, you Google, you can kind of manage your way through a trim, a bang trim, even dyeing your hair, you get enough to know. But I would never give out my formula for what I was actually doing for Hayley. And at that time, I was doing sometimes 2 to 3 different brands mixed together just to get one shade, which would have been Riot Orange. And so I decided I was never going to give that out because that's my brain. That's what separates me from any other person doing hair. So I'm not going to give that formula away for free. So I was like, this would be a great way to give our community, your fans, someone asking exactly what it is that we use in one product, but how can I make the quality of it, the use of it, and the convenience of it a lot easier, because it's a direct dye, it's vivid color, it can be very messy. A bathroom is usually white sink, white towel, white everything. So it was like, how can we formulate something that is not only hair healthy and conscious, but how can we make it easier and more accessible for the DIYer at home? Because since I was 12, that's who I was. I was running to the drugstore every other weekend to change my hair because I want to try, I want to play, I want to test new things. And so really that's how it all slowly came together in the beginning.
Are you guys able to hear him okay? Yes? Yeah. Okay, great. I know that we're competing against microphones here.
Do we need to yell?
We'll talk louder.
Exactly.
Do we need to interrupt their conversation?
So we talked a little bit about the growing pains in the beginning. You guys bootstrapped this for quite some time, and the whole concept of keeping Good Die Young separate from the music aspect, when was it that you realized we need to infuse this company with capital, we need to lean into your brand more? When was that inflection moment?
I mean, we really didn't allow ourselves to go there until I put out my recent solo record, and it just felt right. Thank you. It just, wow. Thank you very much. It just felt right, and we go with our gut feelings a lot, and honestly, I don't know that I can recommend that a ton all the time in business conversations, but we don't really speak a lot of corporate lingo. We speak from our hearts and like the culture that we know, the subculture that we know. And I will say, I was always very much like, I don't want us to be a celebrity brand. Everyone was really girl bossing hard in 2016. It was very girl boss. You know, you guys know. And I just didn't, I just felt like what Brian brings to the company, the product itself needs to stand on its own. And for whatever reason, we've gotten to a point where we're comfortable with where the company is. We feel like our brand identity is strong. And I just was like ready to go there. And someone on my management team, Leah Hodgkiss, there you are. Leah was like, well, why don't you guys create a page that, I mean, really, that this came together very quickly because we're a small team. Yeah, mm-hmm. Good Die Young is a small team. My team is a small team. So it was kismet. It was meant to be now. It shouldn't have been any earlier. To be honest, we're still bootstrapping, and we're kind of readying ourselves for the next phase of our business.
What is the next phase of the business?
Well, Brian can speak more to it, but Brian's always been. Brian was the one in early days who was like, look, I know we care about the subculture and where this comes from, and we're both like very passionate about the like punk music and sort of kind of careful to not commodify community too much. That's a dangerous tightrope. But Brian was the first person to tell me, like, we can't only serve one type of person, pink hair dye, because there are people who don't go to the Warped Tour that want to dye their hair. There are people that are just really into fashion and really into beauty, and this is how they express themselves. And that opened up a huge door, but you can talk about where you want us to go next, because
I mean, that is a huge part of it. I think, you know, from Hayley and I have known each other since she was 16 and I was 19. So we kind of, a really big part of obviously doing hair, it's as a professional, it's very intimate. You spend a lot of hours in close proximity and you get to know somebody. They get to know you, it becomes like family. So the whole ethos of Good Die Young was built off of that relationship of Hayley and I and how it brought us together. It is hair, but it's so much more than hair for us. You know, it's art, it's a story, it's an emotional experience, because a lot of that storytelling in the through line is sometimes us creatively thinking about what the shade means in this moment, why she wants to be that color and what it represents. I'm really big on reading about color and what color represents, or what an emotion in a color, like how someone sees emotion in a color and what that means. And so everything is very thoughtful in that sense with Good Die Young. So going forward, it was always a really big thing to kind of, the community should be bigger, it shouldn't be smaller, it should be, hair is for everyone. It's an accessory you take with you every day of your life, everywhere you go. And so I really want to keep pushing that. We have started with Hayley and the shade Ego, this creative color launch, and that was the start of it. We just had Rico Nasty, and she did this.
Yeah, give it up for Rico Nasty.
She is loved working with her. She's amazing and creative, and we got to work on a really beautiful dark deep purple together that's called Nasty. So we're doing more of those and kind of pulling from that in the community. But I really want to dive into pro beauty next. I have been a professional hairstylist, like I said, since I was 19. I'm 40 now, and I started out as the DIYer though. So that's why, like, to me, it's always been about us telling the story. And so from the beginning, the DIYer and Good Die Young, and now the pro artist that I have been, now I want to get back to our community and that community, but also say that these two communities are not mutually exclusive, because most of the time the at-home DIYer, 12-year-old me, grows up to start this profession. I have been doing this again for 20 years, and every time the best part of doing this job is when someone comes up to me and says, I went to hair school because of your work with Hayley, because I saw what you did, because I was a fan. And like, to me, at the end of the day, if I can remotely inspire someone to go out and find a career and a choice and really love it and do it, then I've done my job. It's not about just selling a product. It's about selling, like, this is my life, you know, and for most people, this can be their life. So to us, it's like giving you quality and professional and all these boxes, but also having a place to come back and share in that with each other.
When you talk about the DIY ethos, you know, that's been a really essential part of this brand from the beginning. Yes. But then as you scale and you're, you know, talking about forecast, operations, supply chains, like, how do you maintain that ethos?
I mean, our team is really important, and it really took us until almost year 10 to sort of dial it in. We have an incredible president, Ashley Floto, who was, Ashley. She was promoted from within our company in a really chaotic time when the business was really struggling, and we were sort of like, well, we're not from the corporate world. We're barely from the beauty business world. Like, we need people smarter than us around us all the time, and we need to be taught. I really do not like looking at numbers. That they look upside down to me. So we need the right team, and that to me, they know that we care about the culture. They know that Brian is an expert with color, and that we're gonna know how to speak to it, but we have to have the right people in place. And honestly, when Ashley just sort of like took the reins and we kind of watched her reshape the team, it changed how we did a lot of things, and we saved a lot of money that way. Things are more efficient. I feel like the culture of our business itself is just healthier, and I think that what's interesting in life, when we make healthier choices and we get ourselves to a place where we can sort of reset, a lot of times more doors will open, you know, maybe a lot close, but I think the right ones open, and that's been our last couple of years, and certainly since Ashley kind of took over.
In terms of like, was there a moment when you realized that this is cultural IP that I can leverage and develop a product line around?
I think I've always been stubborn about, you know, my idea of subculture and culture in general, pop culture. Like, I have a reverence for it. We both really do, and we watch trends, and we're part of the culture of it all, and we want to help move it forward, and we don't want to cannibalize it, you know? So I think that we have to stay really, stay in tune with our gut and the things that make us passionate and the things that make us feel like we're serving the community that's found Good Die Young, that cares about it, that cares about this, you know? But yeah, I mean, there was a point where like it just felt like a natural extension of the conversation was to say, well, let's see what we can make ourselves, because we're not totally happy with anything that exists. And if we can put something out there, yes, it's a product, hope it goes well, hope we're successful, but at the end of the day, culture is kind of the most important thing, and we're wanting to still serve that, you know.
Was there also a moment when you saw an opportunity to be able to extend the brand, and there being an opportunity for demand? Because again, I actually remember being a 90s child, and it being like boxed hair dye, frying your hair, and there really wasn't any really great solution.
That's where Brian's expertise, like his experience, comes in. Like, I should not have healthy hair at all. The amount of times we have bleached and dyed my hair, I mean, it should be fried off. But I mean,
9 times in one year we changed her hair color. That was a little traumatic for me.
That was a tough year.
Yeah, but to go back to your question, I think. I mean, really approaching it and how we've seen it, it was, look, Manic Panic, and at the time, Manic Panic, Pravana, and Paul Mitchell Inkworks were about the 3 things that I knew, you know, in early 2000
special effects
that were like OG, and special effects. Yeah, I can't forget special effects.
Love them. Shout out.
That was,
I remember Manic Panic.
Yeah. Icon.
Yeah, but what I mean, for me, what I was noticing as a professional and as like someone who had previously done my own hair when I had it, R.I.P.
You're handsome.
Is
Bald
again
is beautiful.
The consistency of the product, the pigment payout. Those were all things that I was like, well, I feel like these are missing. Like, I feel like, okay, there's this blank area that we, in that sense, could commoditize, like, and really kind of hold on to. But I don't ever, like Hayley says, it's all about, to me, when we're creating it for us and for the community. It's never like, oh, this product is missing and we have to fill this void. It's like, if that happens, it's, I can't find this product, so I'm going to create it for myself. Selfishly, you know, it's always like, well, I want this, so let's start there. And then if someone else likes it, okay, great. And so I think that's a big part of honestly our whole working relationship inside the business, but also personally. It's like quality and consistency of the product is first and foremost, but at the end of it, the creativity and just being able to have the freedom to play, and hopefully everyone else likes what you're doing, really at the end of it, is truly, I know that sounds so, it's not business and it's not, but I mean, when we started this, look, I've learned so much about business and having a business and owning a business, and I still need knee pads and elbow pads and a helmet sometimes, because I'm like, ooh, I'm not built for this. But at the end of it, what I'm built for is hair. I live, eat, breathe, sleep it, and being creative. Just being able to express myself and not have to worry about an outsider's opinion of it is the biggest, like, it's just the biggest relief of getting through your day.
When you talk about community, when you built Good Die Young, you had a built-in community as an artist. What were the challenges and benefits and strengths of then building a brand and not knowing if you really had that community would actually translate into a built-in consumer audience?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty suspect. I wasn't thinking like, it's not rare beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew not only were we making kind of a niche product, especially at the time. Hair trends, with vivid color come and go. We've seen it happen a million times over the 10 years that we've been in business. But like, I feel like we would go into meetings with a potential like angel investor, like early days, and you could see these bros in suits just being like celebrity brand and like we're gonna use that name,
and you would immediately see the light leave her eyes.
Yeah, true.
You would. Like I'd be like, well, we lost that one.
Yeah. It just it was not the point, and that we had such a different mission. And one thing that I've found is like, I mean, that gut feeling in the beginning of like it shouldn't be banked on Paramore. Paramore has nothing to do with hair dye. I do, but we just didn't want a crutch. We really wanted to do the work, and we wanted the brand to speak for itself. It really took until there were people on our team, and especially in leadership in our team, to take their eyes away from me and the sort of spotlight of the music thing that I do, and put it on Brian, who's the expert, who can not only educate our community, other professionals, he's making the product, and he can speak to it really well. And I feel like I really tried to drill that in people's head from an early point in the business, and it was hard because people just see stars and money signs around like a celebrity name, and that's just not. It certainly works for people, but we didn't license. Like we built this from the ground up. We're still like in the van, as I say. We're moving to a tour bus now, but like. It's we've worked really hard to like build the culture and the foundation under Good Die Young's feet. That's not about Paramore.
You've talked a little bit about reconnecting with your core. Like, what are some metrics that kind of made you decide that we need to move over to really highlighting that we're a mission-driven brand?
Honestly, getting away from some of the retailers that we were with a lot of retailers, and it was really spreading us far, like too thin, and those particular retailers didn't really have the support for the hair category that we needed, especially because with hair dye, with bleach, you do kind of need to educate who's buying your stuff, whether people read the box or not. You know what I mean? So, my ADD just hit really hard. Can you remind me of that? And I did take a beta blocker.
You talk about reconnecting with your core, right?
Yes.
So the question is how exactly you pivoted Good Die Young into back to being a mission-driven brand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Going back, refocusing our efforts to D2C was a big one.
Yeah.
And sort of thinning out all these different branches and finding what we're really good at, refocusing on semi-permanents and being like, we've made a lot of other cool products, but right now, here's where we're bleeding, here's where we're not efficient. This lab's here, we need to move it here. Our warehouse is way over here, and it's shipping from here to here. Like, we need to make it more efficient. And that's kind of been part of the last 2 years or so that have reconnected us and let us focus more on the people that are our actual community. Then we can sort of take a beat and be like, okay, well, where do we grow from here now?
I'd ask the same question, from your perspective, what does that mean in terms of the product? How do you kind of realign it to be more mission driven rather than another hair brand?
Yeah. So what Hayley was saying about like in the beginning we had like hair makeup. So we would have temporary, semi like we did. So we had something called poser paste in the beginning. So it was literally like
poser paste.
Poser paste.
What is poser paste?
If you're a poser and you can't dye your hair.
Yeah. So you're posing as someone who colors their hair, but it's actually a paste that washes out after one shampoo. So you could have bright pink hair, but it would only be for that day until you shampooed
So like
it
temporary
out.
tattoos, but for hair.
Yes.
We used it all the time,
All the time
on tour.
And so we went through the gamut of having products like that. We had one that was called I'm Bored, and it was more of a serum in that you would put on pre-lightened blonde hair, and we had two for like really dark shades that would give like a hue. And we just really learned like through doing that like what worked and what resonated with the community, and those were things that weren't really resonating. They were maybe too difficult, too many steps, and that sort of thing. So we were able to weed that out pretty quickly, like just again having our team and Ashley and being like, these really aren't your, what really moves the community. It's not drawing people in, but semi-permanent's really like our lightning kit is our #1 seller. I didn't think that would be in a million years, because I feel like so many people are so cautious of bleaching and lifting their hair themselves at home, which they should be. That is the one thing I've been the biggest stickler, and we've done really good about educating online through our platforms, through our social media, and doing videos about is that's where the damage in doing a semi-permanent vivid color comes from, is that you have to pre-lighten your hair to get that intense color. So having this information that we could gather throughout these years and really kind of honing in on what it is that makes the products within the brand really great and really the brand and what defines it and what isn't working. I no longer, I choose not to waste my time on temporary styling products with color anymore, because our semi-permanent is what we're known for. It's what I've put so much into that, and that's where I want to continue to go. And that's why I said I would really love to do pro color next, because again, that's where my passion for it is, but also that's what the consumer wants. Like when, consumer wants either natural colors or vivid colors, and right now we don't have many natural colors, so I'm like, how can we incorporate that more into who we are? Because that's still part of our storytelling.
Yeah. You talked about how you decided to narrow your distribution channel a bit. I mean, why? That seems counterintuitive when you're scaling.
Oh, I would have thought that too. I mean, when we first started the business, it's like, let's get into every store. You think that's the way to grow, and we were just bleeding all over the place instead of in one place.
What you don't realize is a lot of those bigger retailers, some of them unfortunately aren't really there for the small brands. Yeah. They don't know what to do with them, and like Hayley said, we are a hair dye company, and so to sit on a retail shelf in an environment where there's no other vivid hair dye, their employees, people coming, they don't know how to sell or talk the talking points of it, because
almost
it was
a liability.
Yeah, it was kind of, and then you start to, I just noticed from the backside of the business aspect of how much these retailers start charging you to this product was damaged, and at the end of it you end up paying them instead of you kind of even making money for your own brand. So it was again, going back to products and stuff, these retailers, these placements, this shelving, it's not working. It's not really pushing the brand any further. It's not getting anything. So where are we? What is working? Where do we go? What is making people pay attention? Where are people going to shop? More importantly, where are they going to get the product repeatedly? So I think downsizing also, and being in those really kind of niche areas that make sense with us, has really helped. It's really made us, I think, as a smaller brand, kind of stand out on those shelves in those retailing areas, and rather than kind of getting lost in the mix with some others.
So I always like ending on the concept of legacy, right? The concept of being able to build a brand that is lasting in terms of both viability of a business as well as your own personal legacy. What is next for Good Die Young? You guys are trying to meaningfully expand it. What does that mean for you? And how are you thinking about legacy in terms of 10 years, 20 years?
Well, I mean, the music side is one thing, and we've been able to work together on that. I mean, Brian really created a whole different aspect of my career with my hair and people noticing the band because of the image. That wasn't really something, if anything, I was like, no, before that, before I met him. And it became such a fun way to connect with each other and to make a friend, to build a friendship. That to me is the real legacy. But when it comes to the product, when it comes to the brand itself, like, I feel like, Brian watches me do the shows. I watch Brian, like, watching Brian do makeup, first of all, is like, I don't know what it was like to sit and watch Kevin Aquan do makeup, but Brian's an incredible makeup artist. That's not even what he's like known for. He's known for the hair. But I think like his passion for it sort of is the reason that I think GDY will be able to expand, because he wants everyone to be able to be a part of it if they want. Like if you just want to dye your hair a natural color, honestly, I go through that. I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired of being like, for people seeing me from 2 blocks away. I just want to be, like soft. I want to feel softer.
I think you're making Brian tear up right now.
Yeah,
like a hairstylist is that's a really important relationship, and I think for him to be able to pour back into that community where he comes from and help foster those relationships between stylists and their clients so that everyone can feel better when they get out of the chair than when they got in it, that to me is also like a huge legacy, and there's a lot of innovation in that as he works on products for the brand. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have a front row seat, and it's really nice. It's really cool.
Did you want to add anything to it, or you feel like she said it best?
She always says it best. I think, for me, and when I think of the legacy of it is, again, it just goes back to us inspiring people. And 12-year-old me, like, that's, to sit here, to have anyone pay me 5 ounces of minutes of seconds in their day talking about hair is really fucking cool. Excuse my language.
It's okay, you can cuss here.
But it is. So to me, the legacy of what I hope it to be, and I've always told her this, is Hayley is iconic. She is an icon. But, Good Die Young, I don't care if her name or my name is never aligned with it. I just want people to know it and be inspired by it and have pushed them to, like, again, go out and do a career that they thought was, like, I didn't think this career would lead where it was. I just loved hair and making people feel good, and something that came really natural to me made someone's whole day turn like that. How they view themselves, the confidence that they left after doing it. So if this brand can do that for an entire generation, then I think that is the legacy that is beyond anyone could ever. It isn't a coin, it isn't a penny, it isn't a product. It's about how it makes someone feel at the end of the day. And if it inspires them, then it's done even more than I thought it could.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And on that note, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Hayley, for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.